There is a problem in manufacturing that nobody talks about. Your best operator, the one with 22 years on the floor, the one who can hear a bearing going bad from 40 meters away, the one who trains every new hire. This person cannot write you a good SOP. No because they are lazy, not because they don't care, because they don't know what they know. This is the big one, and it's costing your operation more than any machine breakdown ever will. Here's the number. The average manufacturer in the US takes 6 to 8 months to get a new operator to full productivity. 6 to 8 months, even when the SOPs are written, even when the training program is complete. Why? Because the SOP has maybe 40% of what the operator actually needs to know. The other 60%, the real knowledge, is trapped inside someone's head. I am Diego Echenique, co-founder and CEO of SenseiLab, and this is Manufacturing with an Accent. I believe the next competitive advantage in manufacturing won't come from machines alone. It will come from preserving and leveraging human expertise. SenseiLab combines AI with operational excellence to capture frontline knowledge, create living SOPs, and help companies learn faster than they lose experience. Let me give you an example. I work for several years in different automotive plants and suppliers plants. They had SOPs for everything, beautiful documents, ISO certified, auditors loved them. And yet, every time the senior press operator went on vacation, the scrap rate doubled. Every single time. That for 10, 15 years. So I asked them, what do you do that the SOP doesn't say? He looked at me and he said, I don't know. I feel it. He couldn't write it down. Not because he was uneducated, not because he didn't want to, but because what he knew was not knowledge. You can put it in a sentence. It was tactile. It was rhythm. It was a pattern recognition built over 2 decades of standing in front of the same machine. This is what we call the tacit knowledge, and it is the single most valuable asset on your factory floor. And you are losing it every time someone's retired, every time someone's quit, every time someone's go on vacation and the scrap rate goes up. The lesson is this: the SOP you have on the shelf, the one that passed the audit, is a shadow of the real work. It tells you the step, it doesn't tell you the feel. So here is what happens in most companies. Management say, we need SOPs. They give the job to the quality engineer or the process engineer, or worst case, a consultant who has never seen the line. This person sit in an office, they open a template, they write the step, maybe they walk to the floor once or twice, they take some pictures, then they publish the document. What's happened next? Nothing changed. Nothing. The operator don't read it. The training doesn't improve. The scrap rate is the same. And why is that? Because the engineer wrote the SOP the way they were taught to write it, for compliance, for the auditor, for the ISO certificate on the wall, not for the operator who has to execute it at 2 a.m. on a Wednesday when everything goes wrong. The operator needs to know what that it sounds like when this goes wrong, what that is smelling, what to do if I check first when the alarm goes off. The SOP says, step 4, inspect part for defects per quality standard QS 142. That is not training. That is the reference document, and a reference document don't build capability. Here is what I wanted to take you away from this section. If the person writing your SOP has never done the job themselves, your SOP is already failing. Remember this. You just haven't felt the pain yet. Toyota has proven this for over 60 years. In the Toyota production system, the standard work is not written by an engineer in an office. It is written by the team leader, someone who does the job every day. And it's not written once and locked in a binder. It's revised constantly, not once a year. I hear every time that for every company that I visit, we revise the SOP once a year. Okay, every time needs to be revised. Every Kaizen event, every improvement, the operator who does the work improves the standard. The operator owns the standard. This is not a documentation system. This is a learning system. The SOP is a living document because the knowledge itself is alive. It changes, it evolves, it grows as the operator gets better. But most companies, they treat the SOP like carved in stone, never touch, never question, written once, filled once, forgotten. That is not lean. That is theater. When you treat standard work as a compliance checkbox, you are not doing lean anymore. You are just pretending. And believe me that it happens very, very often. That's why I built SenseiLab, because it kept seeing the same pattern. Company after company, industry after industry, the best knowledge in the organization, the knowledge that actually makes the work happen, was invisible. It was in people's hand, in their ear, in their instinct. And every retirement, every departure, every vacation was a leak in the system. The traditional approach says, write better SOPs, make them more detailed and more pictures, use better software. But the problem is not the format. The problem is the source. You cannot document what someone cannot articulate. So at SenseiLab, we start differently. We don't ask operators to write procedure. We watch them work. We record them. We ask them to explain what they are doing, why they are doing it. When the knowledge is active, not when they are sitting in a conference room trying to remember. And we capture not just the step, but the cues, the sounds, the smells, the warning sign that the operator reacts to without thinking. Because that is the real SOP, not the document. The embedded knowledge. The question every plant manager needs to ask is not, are my SOPs up to date? The real question is, how much of what my best operator knows will leave the building if they walk out tomorrow? If you don't know the answer to that question, you have a problem. No ISO audit with ever catch. Here is what I wanted to take away from this video. Your best operator cannot write you a good SOP, and that is not their fault. It's the nature of expertise. The solution is not better template, is not more detailed document. It's a different approach to capturing that knowledge. One that starts with observation, not documentation. One that captures what people do, not only what they say they do. The gap between the SOP on the shelf and the work on the floor, that gap is where your money is leaking every day. Is your organization capturing tacit knowledge? Or are you just writing document and calling it done? Not just step, how the work actually gets done.